There's been some back and forth on social media between Dillian Whyte and Lucas Browne again. This has been going on for a very long time, actually. And there was a time when Lucas Browne briefly held the WBA regular heavyweight title, and he was very dismissive of fighting Dillian Whyte. In fact, even before he won the title, he was very dismissive and Dillian Whyte's a nobody, etc. The tables have turned a little bit now. Dillian Whyte is more highly ranked than Lucas Browne. His market value is higher. Lucas Browne is coming back from a layoff and a ban, and so on and so forth, and some legal issues. Well, not even legal issues, but issues regarding his ban and the WBA, so on and so forth. So, yeah, Dillian is now in the power position. There was some talk on Twitter between Browne and Whyte is saying, why you not accepting the offer, this, that, and the other. Ricky Hatton got involved, who is Lucas Browne's promoter, and he said, well, I ain't heard about no offer. Subsequently, Eddie Hearn has done an interview on IFL TV. If you haven't seen it, I'll link to it in the comment section below. And Eddie Hearn says he has since talked to Ricky Hatton after this whole Twitter stuff has been going on. He's subsequently talked to Ricky Hatton behind the scenes and made Ricky an offer. And Ricky said, okay, well, I'll talk to Lucas and I'll talk to the relevant parties and we'll see if they want to accept the offer. So there is the possibility, at least, of Dillian Whyte fighting Lucas Browne later on this year. It's a possibility. Eddie Hearn has reiterated that it's unlikely to see the Dillian Whyte-Derek Chisora rematch happening next. So at the moment, it could be Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne or Dillian Whyte versus Jarrell Miller. It could also be Derek Chisora versus Jarrell Miller. Derek Chisora's trainer Don Charles kind of let slip in a recent interview again, I believe it was on IFL, that Derek Chisora is going to be working with Eddie Hearn now. And we did see a photo on social media recently with Eddie Hearn and Derek Chisora shaking hands, with Derek Chisora with one finger up against his lips like, shh, don't tell no one. So, yeah, that's the situation at the moment. Now, if Dillian Whyte did fight Lucas Browne, how do you guys see that fight going? Both guys stand 6'4" tall, so they're the same height. Lucas Browne, I think, is probably the naturally more heavy-handed guy. Dillian Whyte, definitely, as far as I'm concerned, has the better boxing skills. He's been more active. He hasn't had this long layoff that Lucas Browne has had. He's younger. He should be fresher. I personally would pick Dillian Whyte in the fight. I think he would win. But, you know, may the best man win. If he don't, he don't. If Lucas Browne gets him, good for him. But just being objective and based upon the things I've just mentioned, I'd be favouring Dillian Whyte. I think he would take it. Not sure if he'd stop Lucas Browne. I think he does have the power to stop him. Lucas Browne was on the floor several times from Ruslan Chagayev. And I certainly believe Dillian Whyte hits as hard as Chagayev. He might not be as sharp a boxer as Chagayev, because Chagayev is a very good boxer. Very sharp boxer from the amateurs all the way through the pros. When he lands clean with the knuckle part of the glove. You know, very clean puncher. Ruslan Chagayev generally, and a good boxer. But I do believe Whyte has got more natural power, more raw power than Ruslan Chagayev. And if he's able to touch Lucas Browne on the chin cleanly, I do think he has the power to drop and hurt Lucas Browne. I suspect Dillian Whyte actually has a better chin than Lucas Browne. Not to say that Whyte can't be hurt or dropped by Lucas, because I think he can. But out of the two of them, I trust Dillian's chin a bit more than Lucas's. That's what I'll say. What do you guys think of this potential matchup? Is it a good matchup? Do you think the fight's going to happen? There still appears to be some type of tension between Lucas Browne and his promoter Ricky Hatton. And this tension has been ongoing for some years now. I don't know how long the contract is with Lucas Browne and Ricky Hatton, when it expires, or what's going on there. But there still appears to be tension between the two of them, which is unfortunate. And that should serve as a lesson to any up-and-coming professionals or amateurs who are thinking of turning professional, be careful who you sign a contract with. You know, I would advise anyone turning pro, unless you get an unbelievable offer from one of the big promoters like Eddie Hearn, for example, I would personally advise against signing long-term deals with promoters right out the gate, turning professional. I advise against it. You're better off signing a short deal, a 1-year deal, or a deal for a specific number of fights with a guarantee that the promoter will be able to get you those fights within a specified time period unless you get injured, so on and so forth. That's what I would personally advise, because getting tied down to the wrong promoter in the wrong contract for several years is just gonna, it could turn out to be a nightmare for you. And I've seen so many fighters actually go through that. And it pains me to see it, because sometimes fighters can end up losing their best years through being with the wrong promoter who can't get them the fights that they want, who can't even get them fighting often, you know. So anyway, that's a side note. Let me know what you guys think of this potential fight, Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne. How would it go? Who would you pick? And do you like it? Do you think it's going to be entertaining if it happens? There was some talk about Dillian Whyte blocking Lucas Browne, and recently Jarrell Miller said Dillian Whyte blocked him. And people are saying, oh my God, how can Dillian block these guys? I thought he's a tough guy. People, the internet is not where you prove you're tough. Yeah, anybody can sit behind the keyboard and talk a load of rubbish. In the ring, these guys are professional fighters. In the ring is where they prove they're tough. Dillian Whyte has proven he's tough, especially in the Anthony Joshua fight. You know, this guy will not back down in the ring. He's not going to freeze. He's not going to be scared of anybody when they get up there in that squared circle. He's going to go at you and he's going to try and do his best. You know, so this idea that, oh, he blocked these guys, that means he's scared. Please. He's talking about fighting Lucas Browne. So he's unblocked him to now talk about fighting him. He don't want to hear any more trash talk until there's actually a fight. And there may be other people who have blocked Dillian Whyte in similar circumstances, possibly. And that's understandable too. But acting as though he blocked these guys means he's scared is silly. It's just silly. The internet is not where you prove you're tough. It's in real life is where you prove you're tough. The internet has got so many people gassed where they can sit behind their keyboards and act like bad boys from the safety of and the anonymity of their homes. You know, back in the days when there was no internet, you wouldn't talk about certain people unless you were actually willing to get it on. You know, you're going to see that person. Whatever you say about them is going to find its way back to them eventually, because there was no internet back then. So when I first came onto the internet, it was a little bit of a shock to the system to me. It did take a bit of adjustment for me to get used to all these random people insulting me and threatening me and all this kind of stuff, because I wasn't used to that. I came from an environment where if you're going to threaten me and talk to me a certain way, that means we're going to deal with it in the real world. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas it took me a while to understand that the internet is just full of jokers. I'm not saying there's no real people on the internet, but generally, most real people, they don't spend time trolling on the internet and insulting people on the internet. They're in the real world doing real things. Yeah? But the internet is such a fake world that it's got a lot of people believing that not responding to somebody on the internet means you're soft, or blocking somebody on the internet means you're soft. I mean, that's how ridiculous it's gotten now. Dillian Whyte is a professional fighter. And people are questioning his manhood because he's blocked a couple people on Twitter. I mean, people, come on. As I keep saying, the internet is not where you prove you're tough. It's in real life. Yeah? Anyway, drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about everything I've talked about in this video. If Dillian Whyte don't fight Lucas Browne, who would you like to see instead? Jarrell Miller? I mean, let's exclude Chisora because Eddie Hearn says that's off the table at the moment. So Who would you like it to be? Jarrell Miller? Somebody else? I think they're also talking about Robert Helenius for Dillian Whyte, which I think is not a bad fight for him, actually. It's not a bad fight because, once again, he wants to fight tall opponents to prepare him for the likes of a Joshua or a Deontay Wilder. Eddie Hearn has even said that Dillian Whyte can fight Luis Ortiz. If Ortiz decides not to go the Deontay Wilder route, he can fight Luis Ortiz later on this year. So I know Ortiz is not as tall as those other guys, but it's just showing you that Dillian Whyte is willing to step in there and take on serious competition. So let me know how you feel in the comment section, people. It's Hatman, I'm out.